Introduction. The first crash against Zuri's chamber door made her freeze. She sat on the edge of her small bed, folding cloth by lamplight. Outside, the night was quiet, broken only by insects and distant drums from the lower courtyard. Then the door burst open. 2 guards stormed in. Zuri knew them at once. Palace guards, but loyal to Amina. Men who carried the Luna's private orders and watched servants as though waiting for them to fail. Before Zuri could stand, one seized her arm. Zuri gasped, "What are you doing?" The second guard grabbed her other wrist and dragged her from the bed. "Zuri of the lower servants," the first guard declared, "you are under arrest by order of the Alpha Throne." Zuri stared at him. "Under arrest?" he replied. "Slothfulness, incompetence, disobedience against the Luna's household command." "That is a lie," Zuri answered quickly. "I have done nothing." They ignored her and pulled her toward the door. Zuri struggled, her feet scraping the floor. "Let me go. Take me to the council. Let me speak." They dragged her into the torchlit passage. A few servants watched from the far end, silent and afraid. No one moved. The guards pulled her through the corridor and into the open courtyard. Then Zuri saw him. Ankura. The king's beta stood beneath the carved archway near the palace steps. His dark cloak still over his shoulders, his face unreadable. Relief struck her for one brief second. Ankura was Zuberi's trusted beta. Zuri twisted one arm free and stumbled toward him. "Beta Ankura," she pleaded. "There has been a mistake. They are accusing me of rebellion. I have done nothing." Ankura did not move. She stepped closer. He stepped back, cold, deliberate. Zuri stopped. "Beta?" she whispered. Ankura looked at the guards. "Take her." They seized her again. Zuri's blood ran cold. Ankura was not stopping them, he was commanding them. She lifted her chin. "Does the Alpha King know about this?" Ankura's eyes settled on her. "No," he responded. "This is the Alpha King's order." Zuri went still. Zuberi's order. The guards pulled her backward, but she stopped fighting. She looked at Ankura, forcing her voice to remain steady. Zuri replied quietly. "Then tell your Alpha King he should have looked me in the eye when he condemned me." For one brief second, Ankura's expression shifted. Then it was gone. The guards dragged Zuri across the courtyard, past the watching servants and silent palace pillars. Behind her, Ribborn's palace shone beneath the moon. Ahead of her waited darkness. Chapter 1 Dawn spread across the eastern prairie of Ribborn Pack in a thin veil of gold. Mist clung to the tall grass. The red earth was still damp from the night, and beyond the open land, the forest dipped into the eastern valley line, where loose stones, hidden roots, and steep slopes made even trained wolves careful. Alpha Zuberi stood at the edge of the prairie, his cloak resting over his shoulders. He had risen before the palace drums, before the council, before the day could claim him. Then he saw the wolf. She crossed the far side of the prairie like a silver shadow, swift and low, her paws barely disturbing the grass. For one brief moment, dawn touched her coat, revealing silvery grey fur, before she angled toward the broken slope of the valley. Zuberi's wolf stirred. He stepped forward. The wolf turned her head slightly. Her eyes flashed. Blue, but not simply blue. Silver blue. Then she vanished into the valley line. Zuberi tensed. He had not seen enough. Not her full shape. Not her markings. Not the exact trail she took. But something about her struck too sharply to ignore. He reached for the clasp of his cloak, ready to shift. Hoofbeats sounded behind him. Zuberi stopped. Ankura rode in from the western path, slowed near him, dismounted, and bowed his head. "My Alpha," Ankura greeted. The northern patrol returned before sunrise. No rogue movement near the river bend. Zuberi kept his eyes on the valley. "Did you see it?" he asked. Ankura followed his gaze. "See what?" "The wolf." Ankura looked toward the slope. The mist was thinning, but the land had gone still. "No," Ankura replied. "I saw nothing." She crossed the prairie moments before you arrived. One of ours? That is what I intend to know. Ankura stepped closer. Do you know her? Zuberi did not answer. He drew in a slow breath, searching for the scent. The breeze was already scattering it through wet grass, red earth, and crushed herbs. Still, something lingered. Faint, familiar. Ankura waited, then continued with his report. The steward sent word about the grain measure from the eastern storehouse. He claims the labourers miscounted after the last delivery. The council scribe wants your seal before midday, and the Moon Feast musicians are asking whether the talking drums should begin before or after the noble procession. Zuberi said nothing. His gaze remained on the valley. Ankura's voice slowed. He watched his Alpha carefully. Zuberi did not waste attention. He remembered faces, voices, footsteps, scents, gestures, and lies. He did not stare into mist without reason. Ankura's tone sharpened. Do you think she was a rogue? No, Zuberi replied. You are certain? No rogue carries a scent like that. What scent? Zuberi inhaled again, but the wind had shifted. I cannot place it. That troubled Ankura. Zuberi was rarely uncertain. The Alpha unclasped his cloak and handed it to him. Stay back. Ankura took it without question. Zuberi shifted. The change came swiftly. Bone and muscle reshaped beneath the dawn until the man was gone. In his place stood the great black wolf of Ribborn, broad, powerful, and silent. He lowered his muzzle to the grass. The world sharpened. Dew, soil, horse, leather, bronze, Ankura, old patrol trails, distant birds, and beneath it all, the fading trace of the unknown she-wolf. Zuberi followed it several steps, then lifted his head to catch it from another angle. His wolf pushed forward, restless, but the scent was already breaking apart. Behind him, Ankura shifted too. His wolf was dark brown, broad-shouldered, and built for force. He circled the grass, searching where the stranger might have passed. They found only fragments. Enough to know she had been there. Nothing more. After several minutes, Zuberi shifted back. Ankura did the same. The trail is damaged, Ankura said. The wind took it. But you caught something. Zuberi looked toward the valley. Enough. Female, yes, pack-born. Zuberi's eyes narrowed. Not rogue. It was not a full answer, and Ankura knew it. They began walking back toward the palace road. The sun had risen higher now, touching the palace walls beyond the trees. Smoke drifted from the lower kitchens. Faint drums sounded from the servant quarter. After a while, Ankura spoke again. There have been whispers. Zuberi stopped. What whispers? A pale wolf, Ankura replied. Seen near the eastern forest a few times. Mostly before sunrise or near dusk. Zuberi's gaze hardened, and I am hearing this now. It sounded like outer patrol talk. No bodies, no stolen livestock. No broken border marks, no attacks. Nothing that carried the scent of a rogue threat. Zuberi said nothing. Ankura lowered his head. I should have investigated sooner. Yes, Zuberi replied. You should have. Where was she seen? Zuberi asked. Along the eastern valley line, near the deep forest, where the terrain turns unstable. Zuberi looked back toward the slopes. That land was dangerous. Steep ridges, loose soil, old roots and sudden drops. Even ribbon wolves avoided running it too quickly. Yet the she-wolf had moved as if the land knew her. Find every report, Zuberi ordered. Every wolf who saw her, every place, every time. I want names before midday. Yes, my Alpha. And Ankura, the Beta looked up. Do not take this to the Luna. A short silence passed. Then Ankura replied. Understood. Amina arrived at Zuberi's chamber without being announced. She paused near the doorway, just beyond the torchlight. From where she stood, she could see him by the balcony, broad-shouldered beneath his dark robe. His face turned toward the eastern lands. He looked calm, almost soft. Amina's fingers tightened. She knew that look. She had seen it too many times to mistake it now. Only one person brought that rare softness to his face. Zuri, the thought cut through her pride. Amina had learned it by watching him closely, and later through the priestesses who spoke in riddles and half-truths. Zuberi's heart did not rest with the Luna beside his throne. It rested with the slave girl who should have been forgotten. Anger rose beneath her calm expression. Still, desire followed it. Zuberi looked like power shaped into flesh. Even silent, even distant, he filled the chamber. Amina hated that she still wanted him. She cleared her throat and stepped inside. Zuberi did not startle. Whatever softness had touched his face disappeared at once. "You came to my chamber unannounced," Zuberi said. Amina smiled lightly. Must a wife be summoned before seeing her husband? "In this chamber, yes." Her smile held, but only barely. Once. She would have walked to him without fear. They had grown up together, played in the same courtyards, shared festival meals, and carried the expectations of two old families. She had been his closest friend. Then Zuri came. Amina stopped a safe distance away. She knew better than to touch Zuberi without permission. The boy she had known was gone. This alpha broke bones before asking why a hand had reached for him. "You look troubled," she said. "I am occupied." "With what?" "Pack matters. Everything is pack matters with you." "Because I am Alpha." "And I am Luna," Amina replied. "Yet you treat me like a stranger." Zuberi's expression did not change. "Why are you here?" Her voice softened. "To speak about us." "There is no us to discuss tonight." "There should be," she said. "We were not always like this. We had a life before the throne, before the council, before her." His gaze sharpened. Amina knew at once that she had gone too far. "Choose your next words carefully," Zuberi warned. She swallowed, but pride kept her standing. "Must I fear saying what everyone already knows?" "What people think they know is rarely worth repeating." "Then tell me I am wrong," Amina replied. "Tell me she means nothing." Zuberi said nothing. That silence hurt more than denial. Amina's hands curled at her sides. "You cannot even lie for my peace." "I do not lie for anyone's peace." "No," she whispered. "You only hide behind silence." Zuberi stepped away from the balcony. "This conversation is finished. It never began. It ends now." Amina stared at him, searching for the boy who had once cared for her. She found only the Alpha King, cold, controlled, uneachable. She forced her smile back into place. "As you wish, my Alpha," she replied. Zuberi watched her until she reached the door. Amina bowed and left. The moment she entered the corridor, her smile vanished. Zuberi could keep his silence. He could bury Zuri's name beneath duty, law, and distance. But Amina had survived too long beside a man who would not love her. If his heart still belonged to that slave, then Amina would find the thread that tied them together, and she would pull until something broke. Outs the private chambers, Ribborn no longer looked like the same pack Zuri had once known. In the last 4 years, Ribborn had changed. New red earth roads connected the palace, lesser quarters, markets, training grounds, and outer villages. Stone bridges crossed streams that once swallowed wagons during rainy moons. Watchtowers now burned at the widened borders. The packlands had grown. So had the wealth. Foreign wolf merchants, known as the Western Wolves, now arrived with metal tools, glass lanterns, water pumps, healing instruments, stronger locks, and strange devices that fascinated the young and unsettled the old. Zuberi had not welcomed them blindly. He had studied them, bargained hard, tested their loyalty, and forced terms that favored Ribborn. Now the results were everywhere. Farms had irrigation channels. Markets stayed safer after sunset. Healers worked with new tools beside old herb bowls. Warriors tested lighter blades. Scribes copied decrees faster with foreign presses, though some still grumbled that no machine could replace a careful hand. Yet Ribborn had not lost itself. The drums still sounded at dawn. Cowrie beads still adorned ceremonial robes. Elders still lifted their staffs when speaking pack law. The moonrites still began beneath sacred trees. Old ways remained. New power grew beside them. And at the center of it stood Zuberi. The nobles praised him over dinner tables. "He has doubled my caravans," one nobleman declared. "The Alpha understands coin as well as war." A southern pack leader raised his cup. "My farms have not seen harvests like this in years." Even the noblewomen whispered of him. "Amina wears the lunar title," one murmured, "but Zuberi holds the kingdom's heart." "Careful," another replied. "Walls in this palace report faster than servants." Even in the dungeons, his name carried differently. A prisoner lifted his head when 2 guards spoke near the bars. "The new decree passed," one guard said. "Pack-born slaves above 20 with clean records can petition for naturalization." "As free-born?" the other asked. "If they qualify." "And if they refuse?" "They may apply to exit Ribborn, but they lose pack protection." The prisoner's fingers curled around the bars. "A slave can become free-born," the guard looked at him. "If he passes the hearing, that is the Alpha's law now." In the lesser quarter, the change was quieter, but stronger. Near the outer healer's path, a former kitchen servant stirred spiced yam stew over a clay stove. Above her stall hung a rough wooden sign, "Owned under Ribborn trade permit." 2 young bonded workers stared at it. "You own this?" one asked. "Under the new terms, yes," the woman replied. "But you are still bonded, for now." Bonded does not mean empty-handed anymore. Stories like hers spread quickly. A bonded carpenter opened a repair shed. 2 washerwomen sold dyed cloth on rest days. A cattle yard worker sharpened blades and kept his own payment ledger. Small freedoms. Careful freedoms. Still freedoms. Beside the chief healer's work table, Maiko ground herbs and spoke quietly to an older attendant. "Life is not freedom yet," Maiko said, "but it is becoming breathable." "The Alpha has made enemies for less," the attendant replied. Maiko's hand paused over the mortar. "And killed enemies for more." Neither woman laughed. They both knew it was true. Zuberi's reforms had angered old families. Some hated that slaves could earn coin, request hearings, own small businesses, or speak before magistrates without being beaten for insolence. Others feared the Western wolves would weaken Ribborn's traditions. But wealth silenced many proud mouths. The nobles were richer, the farms were stronger, the roads were safer, the borders were wider. Zuberi's praises moved through Ribborn like drum beats. In homes, courtyards, kitchens, guard posts, and prison cells, his name carried weight. Alpha, reformer, conqueror, protector. The people no longer only feared him, they loved him. But behind the palace walls, Zuberi remained restless. Ribborn was rising beneath his rule, yet one mystery disturbed the order he had built. A silvery grey wolf ran through the eastern valley. No one knew her name. No one knew where she came from. And while the kingdom praised Zuberi for giving Ribborn a future, he could not stop thinking about the woman who had disappeared from his reach before that future was complete. By the time the first market bells rang over Ribborn, the Alpha King's name was already moving through the pack. It passed from traders on the new red earth roads to warriors in the training yard, from servants in the kitchens to noblewomen taking sweetened tea behind carved screens. Zuberi had strengthened Ribborn. He had expanded the packlands, improved trade, punished corrupt officials, silenced rebellious houses, opened diplomatic roads with the Western wolves, and passed reforms even his enemies could not easily condemn. Beside his name, Amina's name often followed. The Luna has stood beside him through great change, one noblewoman said in the Eastern Pavilion. "She carries the title well," another replied. Amina sat among them in deep green and gold, her braids arranged with fine beads. Her smile was calm, gracious, and practiced. "Ribborn has been blessed with a strong Alpha," Amina responded. "And a strong Alpha needs a loyal Luna." The women murmured in agreement. Amina lifted her cup and smiled. In public, she was everything Ribborn expected. Regal, controlled, beautiful. A Luna seated beside a rising king, the pack saw her title. They did not see the distance between her and the man who gave it power. Far from the palace in the lesser quarter, Zuri heard the same praises from a distance. She sat outside the small room she now called home, sorting dried herbs on a woven tray. Bitterroot, fever leaf, and purple sleep petals lay in separate piles before her. Beside her sat a stained mortar used for grinding roots, oils, bark, and healing mixtures. Her life had become quiet. She no longer moved through the palace corridors unless summoned for official labor. Most days, she stayed near the lesser quarter and the outer healer's path, learning from Maiko when she could and experimenting with herbs when she was alone. Some mixtures dulled pain, some calmed fever, some steadied the body after a difficult shift. Others were dangerous, and Zuri marked those carefully in notes, hidden beneath a loose board in her room. A woman from the next hut passed with a water jar. "The Alpha's reforms are working," the woman said. 2 packborn slaves were approved for naturalization last week. Zuri's fingers paused. Approved? Yes, both above 20. Clean records. The council accepted them. The woman lowered her voice. "You applied too, did you not?" Zuri looked down at the herbs. "I applied to exit," the woman stared. "Exit Ribborn?" "Yes, you would lose pack protection, I know. And if no other pack accepts you, I know that too. That is dangerous, Zuri." Zuri's voice stayed quiet. "So is staying. Under the new law, pack-born slaves above 20 with no criminal record could petition for naturalization and become freeborn members of Ribborn. Others could apply to leave, but approval depended on clean conduct, humility, law-abiding service, council goodwill, and the final approval of the Alpha King. That was the part Zuri tried not to dwell on. She had not applied because she hated Ribborn. She had applied because every road inside Ribborn still somehow led back to Zuberi. By evening, the palace had settled into gold-lit silence. Amina went to Zuberi again. She chose her appearance with care, a bronze robe, gold bangles, a delicate chain at her throat, jasmine oil, because he had once liked it when they were younger. Before Zuri, before everything between them turned cold, Zuberi stood near the war table with a half-open scroll beneath his hand. He did not look surprised when she entered. "You should be resting," he said. Amina smiled. "Is that concern? Observation?" She stepped closer. "You used to know the difference." His gaze remained on the scroll. "What do you want, Amina?" "I want my husband to look at me." Zuberi lifted his eyes. She moved closer, letting her perfume reach him. She knew her beauty. She knew the power of it. Men had admired her long before she became Luna. Zuberi did not soften. "Must everything between us be duty?" she asked. "Duty holds a throne together." "And marriage? Truth?" Amina's smile faltered. He returned to the scroll. She reached for his hand. Zuberi caught her wrist before she touched him. His grip was controlled, but the warning was clear. "I have told you before," he said. "Do not touch me without leave." Pain crossed her face before pride covered it. "I am your wife. You are Luna." The words cut through the room. Amina pulled her wrist free. "Is that all I am? A title? A face beside your throne?" Zuberi said nothing. Her voice sharpened. "Or do you save your warmth for someone else?" The chamber changed at once. Zuberi went still. The scroll crumpled beneath his hand. A dark pressure filled the room, and the lamp flames trembled. Amina had not said Zuri's name. She had not needed to. Zuberi's eyes lifted to hers. "Repeat that," he said. His voice was low enough to make her step back. Amina swallowed. "I spoke foolishly. Repeat it." Her courage failed. "Forgive me, my Alpha," she replied quickly. I was upset. Silence stretched. Then Zuberi said, "Leave." Amina bowed, because guards stood beyond the door, and pride still mattered. "As you command," she replied. She left with steady steps. Only when she reached her own corridor did her hand press against the wall. Her pulse raced. She had known Zuberi was dangerous since Khalid's execution. Everyone knew it, but she had never expected one unfinished accusation to bring his rage so close to the surface. She was his wife, his Luna. She deserved his love. In her chamber, Amina shut the door and stood before the mirror. Old memories returned, cruel and clear. Zuberi as a boy in the palace courtyard. Zuberi as a young warrior who listened when she spoke. Zuberi smiling during festival nights. He had cared once. He must have, before Zuri. Amina's fingers curled. Zuri had not taken her title. Amina had won that. She had not taken public honor. The pack still bowed. But Zuri had taken the one thing Amina could not command, Zuberi's heart. Amina stared at her reflection, beautiful, crowned, praised, and still losing to a woman who was not even in the room. "No more," she whispered. If fate ever placed Zuri within her reach again, Amina would not hesitate. She would kill her. The next reports came to Zuberi after sunset. He received them in his private study, where low lamps burned against carved screens and maps of Ribborn covered one wall. Trade ledgers sat stacked beside a bronze bowl of cooling incense. Gamma Oren stood before his desk, lean, sharp-eyed and quiet. He was one of the king's shadows, trained to observe where soldiers could not stand, and return with truth, not gossip. "The eastern grain figures have risen again," Oren reported. "The irrigation channels are working. The southern farms request permission to expand into the cleared valley." Zuberi scanned the ledger, approved, but the riverbank stays protected. "I will not trade harvest for flood. Yes, my Alpha. The council, favorable. 3 houses still object to the labor restrictions, but trade profits have softened them. Their purses are fuller than their principals." Oren's mouth twitched. "As you say, my Alpha. And the western wolves. The agreement is holding. 2 caravans are expected before the next full moon. Metal tools, healing instruments, water pumps, and pressed paper machines. In return, they want continued access to ribbon, herbs, blackwood, dyed cloth, and trained builders for the border road. They may have herbs and cloth under monitored trade," Zuberi replied. "No trained builder leaves Ribborn without a return bond. I will amend the terms." "Do that." Oren placed another scroll on the desk. "Construction on the northern trade route has begun. The Kara stream bridge is half complete. The market road from the lesser quarter is already reducing travel time." Zuberi looked up. "And the lesser quarter?" "The reforms are working. 3 pack-born slaves above 20 were approved for naturalization this week. Clean records. No council objection. There are also 12 active trade permits for bonded workers. No noble interference. 2 complaints, both handled. House Daran tried to seize a bonded woman's profit. Zuberi's gaze sharpened. Find them double the stolen value. Return her coin publicly. Let the decree be read in the market square. It will be done. Anything else? No failure worth noting. The reforms are not perfect, but the people know they are working." Zuberi nodded. "You have done well, Oren. Rest." Oren bowed but did not leave. Instead, he withdrew a separate document from inside his cloak. It carried the formal cord of petition law. Zuberi's eyes dropped to it. "What is that?" "A personal petition from the lesser quarter magistrate." "Why was it not sent with the others?" Oren hesitated, then placed it in his hand. "Because of the name attached to it." Zuberi looked down. Zuri. The name sat in small, careful lettering. Zuri of Ribborn, bonded servant under lower household registry. Formal request. Permanent exit from Ribborn pack. Zuberi dismissed Oren with a motion of his hand. The Gamma left quietly. The door closed. For a long moment, Zuberi did not move. Then he opened the petition. Zuri had not asked for naturalization. She had not asked to become free-born within Ribborn. She had not asked for land, trade rights, or recognition. She had asked to leave. Forever. He sat behind the desk and read every line. Clean record, law-abiding conduct. Good standing with the healer's outer service. No criminal stain. No rebellion. No debt offense. No false testimony. The request was calm, formal, and restrained. That made it worse. Zuberi stared at her name. He had built roads, expanded borders, strengthened trade, broken traitors, and changed laws old wolves had sworn would never bend. Yet, the one thing he wanted most had written a petition to leave him behind. His thumb brushed over her name. Zuri, he whispered. The sound came too naturally. His mind shifted at once to the lone wolf in the Eastern Valley. Silvery grey fur, silver blue eyes. A scent he could not place. Could it be her? Had Zuri gotten her wolf? The thought should have been impossible. The pack had always known her as wolfless. Powerless. A slave with no shift and no standing. But Zuri had always carried impossible things around her. His mark had awakened fate once. What else had it awakened? Zuberi stood abruptly. No, he was not chasing hope. The wolf was an unidentified presence in his territory. That was all. His interest was strategic. Dante's voice cut through his mind. Liar. Zuberi's jaw tightened. Dante had spoken rarely in recent years. Zuberi had kept him buried beneath discipline, and Dante had never forgiven him for losing Zuri. Human matters are not decided by wanting, Zuberi told him silently. Dante growled low in his chest. They are decided by claiming what is ours. Zuberi closed his eyes. For once, Dante might be useful. Can you identify the wolf? Silence. Then Dante answered. Yes. Zuberi went still. Who is she? No answer. Dante. Still nothing. Tell me. Dante remained stubborn. Is she a threat? No. Is she of Ribborn? Silence. Is she Zuri? Dante withdrew so sharply it felt like a door closing inside him. Zuberi's patience snapped. A growl tore from his throat, deep enough to shake the lamp flame on the desk. Footsteps rushed toward the study. The door opened. Ankura entered first, one hand near his blade. 2 warriors followed, tense and ready. My Alpha, Ankura asked. Zuberi was pacing. The petition lay open on the desk. There was no enemy, no assassin, no blood. Only the Alpha King scowling at something no one else could see. Zuberi stopped. Leave us. The warriors withdrew at once. Ankura remained. He looked at Zuberi, then at the open document, but did not read it. What happened? He asked. Zuberi gave a humorless breath. Dante is becoming impossible. Your wolf. My wolf has developed a talent for withholding answers. Ankura closed the door, crossed the room, and sat without ceremony. Another man might have been punished for it. Ankura was allowed. He had become more than a replacement for Khalid. He was disciplined, loyal, honest, and free of ambition. Zuberi had taught him war, law, scent tracking, and court survival. Ankura had given him something rare in return. Trust, almost brotherhood. Zuberi sat opposite him. I need you to investigate that wolf, he said. Quietly, completely. I want her identity. Ankura studied him. For a moment, he said nothing. He admired Zuberi more than any man in Ribborn. The Alpha was ruthless when needed, brilliant in counsel, disciplined in war, and dangerous in silence. But Ankura had learned one truth. Only Zuri unsettled him like this. Now the strange wolf was doing the same. What about Zuri? Ankura asked quietly. Zuberi looked at him. Do you not want her anymore? Zuberi opened his mouth. Ankura raised a hand. Do not answer. I already know. The room fell still. I will find the wolf, Ankura continued. But the next best source is not in the forest. It is not with the scouts. Zuberi's eyes narrowed. It is Dante. Zuberi said nothing. Your wolf knows something, Ankura said. If he refuses to speak, shouting will not help. He is my wolf, and you have kept him muzzled for years. The words landed hard. Ankura did not retreat. You command men, laws, borders, councils, and armies. But Dante is not one of your soldiers. If you want answers, stop treating him like a beast chained beneath your ribs. Zuberi stared at him. Another beta would have lowered his gaze. Ankura did not. At last, Zuberi exhaled. You speak boldly tonight. I learned from you." A faint trace of amusement touched Zuberi's face, then vanished. Ankura stood. "I will question the Eastern Scouts, the charcoal burner, the patrol wolves, and the healer's route guards. If that wolf belongs to Ribborn, someone knows more than they are saying." "And Dante?" "Calm down," Ankura replied. "Then probe him gently." Zuberi looked away, but some of the tension left his shoulders. Ankura bowed. "The answers may already be inside you, my Alpha." When the Beta left, Zuberi remained seated. Zuri's petition lay between his hands. Dante waited in silence beneath his skin, and beyond the palace walls, a silvery grey wolf ran through the eastern valley, with secrets Zuberi could no longer ignore. Amina's hand stilled over the study door. She had come to knock, but the voices inside stopped her. Zuberi was with Ankura. Her wolf sharpened her hearing. "I need you to investigate that wolf," Zuberi said. "Quietly, completely. I want her identity." Amina's breath caught. Another wolf. Another female had caught the Alpha King's attention. Her fingers curled slowly. Not again. She stepped away from the door before anyone sensed her and walked down the corridor with her face calm and her mind already moving. This time, she would not wait. A few days later, Ankura stood on a narrow ledge above the eastern valley line. The cliff below him dropped sharply into broken stone, twisted roots, and loose red earth. One wrong step could send even a trained wolf crashing into the ravine. The wind moved strangely there, cutting between rocks and trees in sudden bursts. Then he saw her. The silver-grey wolf moved below, swift and alert, her coat flashing between shadows. She was crossing the slope when 3 rogues emerged from the trees. Ankura tensed. They were large, scarred, and heavy-fanged, moving with the confidence of hired killers. One came from the front, one circled left. The third crept behind her. Ankura's first instinct was to shift and run down, then the she-wolf moved. She did not attack. She used the land. The first rogue lunged. She stepped aside, drawing him onto loose earth. The ground gave way, and he slid hard into a stone ridge. The second charged. She slipped between 2 tangled roots. He followed and trapped his foreleg, snarling in pain. The third slowed, wiser than the others. The silver-grey wolf ran toward the moss-covered stones. He chased. At the last second, she cut aside. His paws hit the slick moss, and he crashed into a fallen trunk. Ankura stared. She had beaten 3 rogues without spilling blood. By the time he descended, she was gone. Only the defeated rogues remained, bruised and furious. When they saw the Beta of Ribborn, they fled into the trees. Ankura did not chase them. Someone had sent them. When Zuberi heard the report, his lips drew back from his teeth. 3 rogues, he asked. Yes, my Alpha, Ankura replied. Not wanderers. They moved like they had been sent. Zuberi's eyes darkened. He hated rogues on Ribbonland. He hated them more near anything under his protection. Dante's voice slid through his mind. Is the wolf yours now? Zuberi hissed inwardly. Shut up, Dante. If you will not help, then stay silent. Dante gave a low, mocking rumble and withdrew. Zuberi looked back at Ankura. Find where they came from, quietly. If anyone inside Ribborn helped them cross, I want their name. Yes, my Alpha. And the wolf? No one touches her, Zuberi replied. Not rogues, not scouts, not anyone. That night, Amina rushed into her chamber and slammed the door. She was shaking. For one breath, she stood still. Then she swept a perfume bottle from the table. It shattered. A mirror followed, then a silver cup, then a vase, broken pieces scattered across the floor. She had seen everything. The strength, the speed, the intelligence. Her own wolf had always been her pride. No she-wolf in Ribborn had ever made her feel lesser. Until today, that silver-grey wolf had outdone 3 rogues with ease. Amina laughed once, bitter and breathless. She had heard Zuberi speak of the wolf. She had sent scouts. When they found the creature, Amina had hired 3 rogues to remove her. She dared not use palace guards anymore. Too many wolves now served Zuberi with blind loyalty. The rogues were supposed to kill the problem quietly. Instead, they had failed. Worse, Ankura had been there, watching from the northern ledge. Amina paced through the broken glass. She had followed only to identify the wolf and witness her punishment. The creature's only crime was catching Zuberi's interest. But that was enough. Amina did not share attention. She destroyed competition. But the wolf had not been destroyed. After the rogues fled, Amina had started back toward the palace. Then she caught the scent. Familiar, hated, impossible. She followed it through the trees, masking her own trail with bitterleaf and damp soil. She reached the hidden bend just as the silver-grey wolf shifted. Fur drew inward. Bones changed. The wolf became a woman, Zuri. Amina clapped a hand over her mouth to smother the sound rising from her throat. That slave had a wolf. Not a weak one, not a broken one. A magnificent wolf. Strong, swift, beautiful, and dangerous. The wolf Zuberi wanted to identify was Zuri. Amina backed away before she was sensed. Now, inside her chamber, the truth burned through her rage. If Zuberi discovered this, he would never let Zuri leave Ribborn. He would tear through law, council, title, and marriage to get her back. Amina stopped pacing. Her eyes lifted to the cracked mirror. No, she whispered. Zuberi should never know. She would never allow Ankura to reach the truth. 6 months had passed since Zuri submitted her application to leave Ribborn. 6 long months of waiting. She had gone to the palace more than once to check the status, but the answer was always the same. Too many applications, too many hearings, too many names waiting for the council. Every day she watched others celebrate. Old men, tired women, young bonded workers. Pack-born slaves who had been approved for naturalization walked through the lesser quarter with tears, laughter, and trembling hands. Some had even been allowed to leave Ribborn peacefully. Now it was her turn. Tomorrow, Zuri would stand before the council. Her final approval depended on her record, her conduct, the council's judgment, and the Alpha King's consent. Seal paced restlessly in her mind. Zuri tried to ignore the tightness in her chest. A foolish part of her wondered if Zuberi would stop her, refuse her petition, deny her permission to leave, but that was a useless hope. She had heard he never attended the hearings. The Council of Elders handled everything. Tomorrow would be her final night as a slave. At least, that was what she prayed. Before nightfall, Manuel came to see her. He was a pack warrior and a rising political voice among the younger reformists. Handsome in a clean, steady way, with warm brown eyes, calm hands, and the scent of rain-washed leather, cedar smoke, and fresh earth. He did not have Zuberi's rugged danger or commanding presence, but he carried a gentleness that made people trust him. He had pursued Zuri for almost a year. She had allowed friendship, nothing more. He knew that. Still, he came. Zuri welcomed him with a small smile. "You came late," Manuel smiled back. "I wanted to see you before tomorrow." "There is nothing to see. There is you." Zuri looked away. Manuel stepped closer but kept a respectful distance. "I know you are afraid." "I am not afraid," Zuri replied. He gave her a knowing look. She sighed. "Fine, I am afraid, a little. Your record is clean. You have obeyed every law. The healers speak well of you. The council may still refuse. They may not." Zuri said nothing. Manuel's voice softened. "I do not care what people say about your past. I only believe what I see." "And what do you see?" "A woman who has been hurt and still stands." Zuri's fingers brushed the necklace at her throat. Beneath it sat Zuberi's mark, hidden, heavy, still claiming her even when the man who gave it had chosen another woman. Manuel noticed the movement but did not ask. That was one reason she liked him. He did not force doors open. "Zuri," he said gently. She blinked, realizing she had drifted into silence again. Manuel reached for her, then stopped, waiting. When she did not move away, He drew her carefully into his arms. Zuri stood still. His embrace was warm, safe, kind, but it did not reach the part of her that had gone cold years ago. Manuel held her as if patience could heal what love had broken. "I cannot be what you want," Zuri said quietly. "I know. You deserve more. Let me decide what I deserve." She pulled back and looked toward the window. Night had deepened outside. "You should go," she told him. "I need to rest." Manuel studied her face, then nodded. At the door, he paused. "Tomorrow will go well." Zuri managed a faint smile. "Good night, Manuel." "Good night, Zuri." After he left, she waited until the lesser quarter grew quiet. Then she slipped into the night. She needed to run. For years, she had taken solitary early morning runs, letting Sail taste the freedom Zuri herself did not have. But recently, she had begun sensing eyes on her. Watching, following, waiting. So she stopped running at dawn. Now she ran only once a week, deep into the night. It was dangerous. She went anyway. Seal surged forward the moment Zuri shifted. The forest opened around them, dark and alive. The wind cut through silver-grey fir. Paws struck earth, roots, and stone. For a few stolen hours, Zuri was not a slave, not a rejected mate, not a woman waiting for council permission. She was speed, she was breath, she was free. Almost dawn had touched the sky when she returned. She slipped back into her room, tired but calmer. Tomorrow would decide everything. She had almost convinced herself to sleep when the banging started. Hard, loud, repeated. Zuri opened the door. 2 palace guards stood outside. Amina's men. By the time the night ended, she sat alone in an isolation chamber, wrists marked from the guard's grip, the cold stone floor beneath her, and Ankura's words repeating in her head. This is the Alpha King's order. She had been so close, only hours from freedom. Now they called her a rebel lazy. Incompetent, disobedient. Zuri let out a dry, broken laugh. They were wrong about everything, except one thing. She was guilty, not of rebellion, not of slothfulness, not of defying the Luna's command. Her only crime had been loving the Alpha King. Chapter 3. Zuri wept until her body had nothing left to give. By the time the night thinned toward dawn, her throat was raw, her eyes burned, and her limbs felt too heavy to move. She sat against the cold wall of the isolation chamber, knees drawn close, wrists still sore from the guard's grip. She had no strength left to fight. Not tonight. The thought came bitterly. The first time she had been imprisoned, it had been because she tried to escape. Back then, she had run for her life, only for fate to drag her back into Ribborn's hands. Now she had tried to leave properly, lawfully, humbly. Still, she was behind a locked door. Zuri closed her eyes. Was she cursed to remain tied to this pack? Or was someone using her past against her again? Amina's face flashed through her mind. That old trap, that old cruelty, the way escape had once turned into punishment. Zuri pressed her forehead against her knees. Maybe she had always been doomed in Ribborn. Morning came bright and sunny, as if nothing had happened. Light slipped through the narrow window high above the chamber wall. Dust floated in the beam. Somewhere outside, birds sang. Life continued with insulting ease. Zuri had not slept. Every sound made her stiffen. Footsteps in the corridor, a distant door, a guard shifting outside, the scrape of metal. The low murmur of voices that never came close enough for her to understand. She waited to be taken before the council. No one came. Breakfast arrived. A young maid pushed the tray inside without meeting her eyes. Zuri rose quickly. "Please, what is happening?" The maid stepped back. "Answer me," Zuri said, her voice shaking. "Am I being taken to trial?" The maid said nothing. The door shut. Zuri stared at the untouched food. She could not eat. By midday, her fear had sharpened into panic. Lunch came. Another maid, another silent tray, another locked door. Zuri rushed forward. "Wait, please." My hearing is today. I am supposed to stand before the council. The maid kept her head down. Say something. No answer. The door closed again. Zuri slammed her palm against it. Open this door! The guards outside did not move. She shouted until her voice broke. She pleaded. She threatened to harm herself if no one told her what was happening. Still, nothing. The guards remained outside like carved stone, silent and unmoved. By evening, the chamber felt smaller. Zuri had touched none of the meals. Her stomach cramped with hunger, but fear sat heavier than food. She leaned against the wall, weak, dizzy, and shaking. When the dinner hatch opened, she pushed herself up. "I told you I will not eat," she began. Then she stopped. It was not a maid. Ankura stood at the door with the tray in his hand. Zuri stared at him. The king's beta entered calmly, placed the food on the small wooden stool, and looked around the chamber as though inspecting a prison cell meant for someone else. "I hear you have refused every meal," Ankura said. His voice was bland. Zuri's hands curled at her sides. "When am I being taken to trial?" Ankura looked at her. "And my hearing?" she demanded. "I was supposed to stand before the council today. I was supposed to hear whether I could leave Ribborn." Ankura's face gave nothing away. "The council is closed for the day," he replied. Zuri went still. "What?" "Your trialful and your exit hearing will be decided another day." Her breath caught. "Another day, yes. When?" Ankura paused. Then he said, "Indefinitely." The word struck harder than any blow. For a moment, Zuri only stared at him. Her freedom hearing was gone. Her trial had no date. Her future had vanished behind one cold word, indefinitely. The chamber tilted. "Zuri," Ankura said. She tried to breathe, but the air would not enter properly. Her knees weakened. The last thing she saw was Ankura stepping toward her. Then darkness took her, while Zuri remained locked inside the isolation chamber. Ribborn's council gathered for what many believed would be another ordinary session. Amina entered the council hall dressed in royal blue and gold, her chin lifted, her lunar beads resting proudly at her throat. She expected reports, land disputes, trade matters, perhaps another discussion about slave reforms. Then Ankura stood. Beside him were representatives from Zuberi's family line, elders of the Alpha dynasty, and 3 royal scribes. Amina's smile faded. Ankura placed a sealed petition before the council. "By order of Alpha Zuberi," he announced, "this council is called to hear his petition for the dissolution of his marriage to Luna Amina and the review of her claim to the Luna seat." The hall went silent. Amina stared at him. For a moment, she did not understand the words. Then they landed. Divorce. Dethronement. Her. The elders shifted in their seats. Some looked at Ankura, others looked at Amina. A few glanced toward the empty Alpha seat. Amina rose slowly. "This is madness," she said. "I reject it." Ankura remained calm. "Your objection is recorded." "Recorded," she snapped. "I am Luna of Ribborn. I have stood beside the Alpha through reform, unrest, and expansion. My family has served his bloodline for generations. My clan has defended this throne before many of you had grey in your beards." A low murmur moved through the hall. Amina turned to the elders. "I have given this pack loyalty since childhood. I have carried the Luna title with dignity. I have honoured the Alpha in public, supported his rule, and endured more silence than any wife should bear. And now he sends his beta to cast me aside like a servant." Several elders lowered their eyes. The council was divided. Some knew Amina's family was powerful, but they also knew Zuberi never moved without reason. No one wanted to stand on the wrong side too early. The argument stretched through the morning. Amina fought every word. She refused the divorce. She refused removal. She demanded Zuberi appear in person. By noon, the council went into recess. When they reconvened, Amina's family and clan leaders had arrived. Her father sat stiff-faced among them. Her uncles whispered behind closed mouths. Her clan elders looked offended but cautious. Still, No consensus came. Then the doors opened. Zuberi entered. The hall stood at once. He wore black, without ceremony, without apology. Ankura moved aside as the Alpha King crossed the chamber and stood before the council. Amina turned on him. "So you finally came," she said. "Could you not face me before sending your beta to shame me?" Zuberi looked at her without emotion. "Remind me if I stood in person to ask for your hand in marriage." The hall went still again. Amina's face tightened. Zuberi continued. "Did I stand before this council and request you as my bride? Did I name you my intended? Did I claim you as my fated mate?" She said nothing. "You announced yourself," he said. "You and Khalid moved the court, the nobles, and the pack into believing I had chosen you. You forced public pressure on me and called it proposal." Amina's lips parted. Old memories moved behind her eyes, the whispers she had fed, the tears she had displayed, the loyalists she and Khalid had stirred, the public expectation they had built until Zuberi had been cornered before his own pack. Zuberi's voice remained calm. "You wanted the lunar seat. I gave you the seat. Now you will answer for what you did with it." The royal scribes stepped forward. Evidence was read. Misuse of lunar authority, oppression of lower households, siphoning public resources, diverting supplies for private favor, threatening servants, manipulating appointments, using the lunar seal without Alpha approval, secret punishments issued outside lawful hearing. Amina's clan leaders grew quiet. Her father's face darkened. Amina looked from one elder to another. "These are accusations." Zuberi replied, "They are records." More documents were placed before the council. Witness statements, resource ledgers, orders bearing her private mark, reports from the king's shadows. Amina's hands curled at her sides. Zuberi turned to her family and clan leaders. "Choose your position carefully," he warned. "Defend her as kin if you wish. But if you defend her crimes, you will answer with her." No one spoke. The council adjourned before sunset. Further hearing would be announced after the elders reviewed the evidence and consulted pack law, but Ribborn did not wait for official judgment. By nightfall, the news had spread. The Alpha King had petitioned to divorce Amina. The lunar seat was under review. Evidence had been brought before the council. Amina's name moved through markets, kitchens, guard posts, noble chambers, and lesser streets. Some were shocked. Some were afraid. Some whispered that Zuberi must have known more than he had ever shown. Amina did not remain in the palace that night. She returned to her family home under heavy silence. Her clan gathered before midnight. Her case was weighed from every side. Elders argued. Uncles searched for loopholes. Her father demanded loyalty but found no strong answer. Zuberi's evidence was too clean, his timing too precise, his warning too dangerous. At last, one clan elder spoke what the others feared. "Seek a settlement. Do not provoke the Alpha further." Amina stared at him. A settlement. After everything. She had been outplayed. Zuberi had endured her for years while building the very ground beneath her feet into a trap. He had secured the throne, weakened her influence, exposed Khalid, strengthened the council, won the people, and prepared the law. All for one final move. Zuri. Amina's mouth tightened. So that was his ambition, not power, not reform, not even revenge, Zuri. He had waited over 3 years to clear the path back to that slave. Amina rose from her seat. Her family continued speaking, but their voices faded behind the cold decision forming inside her. She would not go down quietly. If she could not have Zuberi, then Zuri would never have him either. The Alpha King had to die, and Zuri would carry the blame. Amina looked toward the dark window, her reflection faint in the glass. Zuri wanted freedom. Zuberi wanted her. Amina would give them both a ruin they could never escape. The following morning, Ankura entered Zuberi's study with a guarded expression. "One of the tribal chiefs requests an urgent audience," he said. Zuberi looked up from the report before him. Which chief? Menza of the Eastern clan. Zuberi's eyes sharpened. Why? He came with his son, Manuel. A brief silence followed. Dante stirred beneath Zuberi's skin. Zuberi closed the report. Bring them in. Moments later, Manuel entered with his father. Menza was an older wolf with a calm face and sharp eyes, the kind of chief who spoke little but missed nothing. Manuel stood beside him, tall, composed, and clearly angry beneath the surface. Both men bowed. Zuberi did not invite them to sit. Speak, he said. Manuel stepped forward. I request Zuri's immediate release. Ankura's gaze shifted to him. Zuberi remained still. Manuel continued. The accusations against her are false. Rebellion, slothfulness, incompetence. None of it stands. I am willing to testify. Someone is trying to silence her. Zuberi's face gave nothing away. You speak with certainty. I know her. Dante growled softly in Zuberi's chest. Zuberi kept his voice cold. Many people think they know others until law proves otherwise. This is not law, Manuel replied. This is a conspiracy. Menza's hand tightened slightly on his staff. Ankura watched Manuel with clear warning in his eyes. Zuberi leaned back. Zuri will be released. Manuel's jaw hardened. When I decide. That is not enough. The room went still. Zuberi rose from his chair. We are done here. He gave Ankura a brief look. See them out. Manuel did not move. You cannot keep doing this to her. Zuberi turned slowly. Manuel's voice sharpened. You tied her to you, then left her to suffer. You denied her peace, denied her freedom, and now when she is hours away from leaving, she is arrested. Ankura stepped forward. Watch your tongue. Manuel ignored him. Is that her crime? He asked Zuberi. That she loved you. The words struck the room like a blade. Zuberi's expression changed for only a second, but Manuel saw it. So did Ankura. Manuel pressed on. You stand before Ribborn as the righteous Alpha, the reformer, the protector. Yet you secretly marked a servant and let her carry the ruin alone. Dante surged. Zuberi's control held, but barely. You do not know what you are saying, he said. I know enough. Zuberi's gaze moved to Menza. Put your son on a leash before he confuses courage for wisdom. Menza stepped forward at once. My Alpha, Manuel speaks from concern, not rebellion. Ankura moved between Manuel and Zuberi, his voice low and dangerous. Chief Menza, decide quickly whether your son came to plead for Zuri or declare war on the Alpha. One path may save him, the other will not. Manuel met Ankura's stare. Neither man looked away. Menza lifted his staff slightly. Enough. The room held. Menza bowed his head toward Zuberi. My Alpha, we came only to ask mercy and clarity. Your word remains final. Zuberi looked at Manuel. You judge me easily, he said, his voice quieter now. Tell me, where was your courage when slaves had no voice? Where were these noble demands when Zuri's life could be crushed without hearing? Manuel said nothing. Zuberi continued. Ribborn has changed. Slaves now have hearings, rights, trade permits, and the choice to leave. Zuri will be released, and when she is, she will choose for herself. Manuel's hands curled at his sides. Then let her choose without chains. Zuberi motioned their dismissal. Ankura opened the door. Menza bowed again and guided Manuel out. As Manuel crossed the threshold, he muttered, Zuri is no one's slave. Zuberi heard it. So did Dante. Neither answered. Outside the palace, Menza and Manuel walked in silence until they reached the eastern path. Only then did Menza speak. How did you confirm the Alpha's bond to her? Manuel's face remained tense. The necklace. Menza looked at him. I saw the mark once, Manuel admitted. She was asleep. The necklace had shifted. I examined it closely enough to know what it was. Menza stopped walking. For a moment, he said nothing. Then a slow smile touched his mouth. The divorce proceedings, he said quietly, will be very interesting. Manuel turned to him. Father, Menza resumed walking. You have stepped into a game older and sharper than your anger, my son. If Zuri carries the Alpha's true mark, then Amina's throne is already broken. Manuel's face darkened, and Zuri Menza's smile faded. Zuri has become the center of a storm. Behind them, Ribborn's palace stood bright in the morning sun. Inside it, Zuberi remained in his study, fists pressed against the table, while Dante paced beneath his skin. For the first time in years, the secret was no longer buried safely between him and Zuri. Someone else now knows. The great hall was filled beyond capacity. It was the same hall where nobles had once danced during Zuberi and Amina's marriage celebration. Now, it had become the place where that same marriage would be judged. Amina's family had advised her to seek a peaceful settlement. The elders, council members, pack warriors, and nobles expected the same. Many were relieved, believing the matter would end quickly. Then Amina rose. "I reject this divorce," she declared, "and I accuse the Alpha King of dishonoring this marriage." The hall fell silent. Amina lifted her chin. "He has abused his power. He has kept another woman in his heart and in his bed. A slave." A sharp wave of shock moved through the hall. Warriors loyal to Zuberi bared their teeth, nobles whispered. The council struck their staffs against the floor, calling for order. Elder Safu leaned forward, his face stern. "Amina, withdraw your accusation. This is grave." "I will not," Amina replied. "Let the Alpha be questioned. Let the council investigate him." Her clan leaders looked uneasy. Elder Safu's voice hardened. "False accusation against an Alpha can destroy not only you, but your clan." Amina did not step back. She accused Zuberi of sleeping with Zuri, refusing to consummate their marriage, and using his power to protect the same slave from punishment. She claimed he had interfered with justice and twisted past judgments in Zuri's favor. The Howling Council was summoned to speak on the old matter of Zuri's sentencing. The High Priestess rose, her white robes brushing the floor. "The voice of the king may carry the weight of the gods," she said. "But the king cannot command the oracle. The ancient spirits answer no mortal command." The hall grew still. Then Zuberi was summoned. He entered without haste. Black robes, high shoulders, cold eyes. No crown was needed. The room shifted around him as if the hall itself understood who had arrived. Elder Sefu spoke first. "Alpha Zuberi, were you unfaithful during your marriage to Amina?" "No," Zuberi replied. "Never." Relief moved through the hall. Elder Sefu continued. "Were you ever intimate with Zuri?" The silence turned heavy. Zuberi did not look away. "Yes." The hall erupted, gasps, growls, sharp whispers. Amina's lips curved with satisfaction. The council called for silence again. Elder Sefu's expression tightened. "Explain yourself." Zuberi stood calm before them all. "What happened between Zuri and me happened before this marriage. I was not bound to Amina. I had not taken vows before the pack. I had not marked her, claimed her, or named her my fated mate." A murmur moved through the hall. Zuberi continued, "I am Alpha, but I am also a man. I did not force Zuri. I did not act under manipulation. I chose her, and before this marriage, that choice was mine to make." The hall quieted. His voice remained steady. "Am I to be condemned for lying with a woman before I was married?" he asked. "As Alpha and as a man, I had the right to choose the company of any unmarried she-wolf within my pack, slave or freeborn, so long as no force, coercion, or deceit was involved." The hall remained silent. His voice hardened. "In all my years, no woman in Ribborn has ever accused me of forcing myself upon her, tempting her against her will, or using my rank to demand her body. If such a woman exists, let her step forward now and testify against me." No one moved. Zuberi turned his eyes back to Amina. Then, "Why am I being dragged before this council for one woman? Or is it because she was a slave? Does being a slave make her less of a woman?" A sharp stillness fell over the great hall. Some nobles lowered their eyes. A few elders shifted uneasily in their seats. Among the lesser servants standing near the rear pillars, quiet breaths caught. Even the warriors who had been baring their teeth fell silent. The question had landed where no blade could reach. Amina's face tightened, but she said nothing. Zuberi looked back to the council. Since I became Alpha, Ribborn has grown, trade has increased, roads have been built, enemies have been punished, the people have prospered. If my private life before marriage damaged this kingdom, let any witness step forward. No one did. Elder Sefu watched him closely. An Alpha must still be held to moral standard. Zuberi turned to the council. Am I being accused of debauchery, of abusing women, of using my position for illicit pleasure? If anyone here has evidence, speak now. No one spoke. Amina's confidence faltered. Then she snapped. He marked her. He claimed the slave. The hall stirred again. Elder Sefu struck his staff against the floor. Enough. That claim is not before us without proof. Zuberi remained still, but inwardly he understood how close that moment had come to danger. Amina pressed on. Zuri still wears his necklace. She seduced him and never stopped seeking his attention. Manuel, standing among the witnesses, went cold. He understood too late what Amina had done. She had taken what he told her and turned it against Zuri. Elder Sefu ordered, "Bring Zuri to the hall." The guards left. They returned without her. "She cannot be found," one guard reported. Amina pointed towards Zuberi. "Then he has hidden her." The hall grew restless. The day was running long, and many now saw Amina's desperation clearly. Manuel stepped forward. "I know where Zuri is," he said. All eyes turned to him. "She went toward the mountainside to gather rare herbs," he continued. "She is not hiding from the council." Amina shot him a furious look. Elder Sefu returned to Zuberi. "Then answer this, Alpha. Why did you refuse your duty to the Luna? Why deny the pack an heir?" Ankura gave a low, irritated snort. Zuberi's jaw tightened. "I refused because I was manipulated into the marriage," he replied. "And because evidence of Amina's betrayal began surfacing soon after." The hall shifted. Zuberi looked to Ankura. Ankura stepped forward and placed several parchments before the council. "Payments to rogue contacts," Ankura said. "Messages written in Amina's hand. Instructions carrying her private seal. Witness accounts. Diverted resources. Unauthorized punishments. Attempts to use the lunar seat for personal power." The hall exploded. Wolves growled. Warriors rose. Nobles turned against Amina with open disgust. Betrayal against the pack was one of Ribborn's unforgivable crimes. Amina looked around and saw the same pack she had once manipulated now turning on her. Zuberi had given them evidence. The crowd gave him judgment. The council withdrew briefly. When they returned, Elder Sefu stood with the elders. Amina is found guilty on multiple counts, including manipulation of pack trust, misuse of lunar authority, unlawful dealings with enemies, and coercive movement toward marriage legitimacy. The High Priestess lifted her staff. "The Howling Council declares this union void before the ancient spirits. It was no true marriage in the eyes of the gods. The final seal was placed. The divorce was approved. The lunar seat was stripped from Amina. She was to await trials for her crimes. The hall did not pity her. That was the bitterest part. The very pack she had used to rise now watched her fall without mercy. Zuri heard her name through the dark. "Zuri! Zuri, wake up! Please, gather your strength." The voice was familiar, too familiar. For a moment, she wanted to ignore it. Her body felt heavy. Her head ached. And the cold floor beneath her seemed easier than opening her eyes to another disappointment. "Zuri," the voice came again, softer this time. Her lashes fluttered. The face above her was blurred at first, then slowly sharpened. "Maiko?" Zuri whispered. "What are you doing here?" Maiko knelt beside her, worry tight around her eyes. "You are in the holding chamber." Zuri blinked. "Why? Because you fainted?" "No," Zuri replied weakly. "Why should I wake up?" Maiko's expression softened. Zuri turned her face away. "Just let me be." Maiko sat beside her and placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Listen to me," Maiko said. "Do you know what happened today?" Zuri closed her eyes. "My hearing was taken from me. It was postponed. That is the same thing." "No," Maiko replied. "It is not. The council was occupied all day." Zuri let out a tired breath. "With what?" Maiko hesitated, then leaned closer. "With Zuberi's divorce." Zuri's eyes opened. "What?" Maiko gave a small, careful smile. "Zuberi is divorcing Amina." For a few seconds, Zuri did not speak. The words struck too many places at once. Shock came first, then disbelief, then a dangerous little spark of hope. She tried to crush before it could grow. Zuberi was divorcing Amina. The same Amina who had stood beside him as Luna. Before she could ask anything more, Ankura's voice came from the doorway. "Your trial and exit hearing will not hold until the council finalizes the Alpha's divorce," he said. Zuri turned her head toward him. Ankura stood near the door, calm and unreadable. "You will remain here until then," he continued. "This is not the dungeon. You will be fed. Maiko has been permitted to stay with you." Zuri's throat tightened. "Oh, well, thanks," Ankura held her gaze. "It is the Alpha's order." The words hit differently this time. Not soft, not safe, but not cruel either. Ankura turned to leave, then paused at the doorway. "Eat," he said. "You will need strength." Then he stepped out. The door closed behind him. Zuri stared at it. Her thoughts moved too quickly to catch. Zuberi was divorcing Amina. Her hearing was delayed. She was not in the dungeon. Maiko was allowed to stay. And once again, everything in her life had shifted because of the Alpha King. Maiko helped her sit up. "Do not do that," Zuri murmured. "Do what?" "Look hopeful." Maiko reached for the untouched tray. "Someone has to," Zuri gave a weak scoff. "His divorcing Amina does not mean he is coming for me." "No," Maiko replied, "but it means Amina is no longer untouchable." Zuri looked away. Maiko picked up the bowl of broth and held it toward her. "Drink." "I am not hungry. You fainted." "I noticed." "Then notice this too," Maiko said, glancing around the chamber. "This is not where they keep condemned prisoners." Zuri followed her gaze. For the first time, she truly looked at the room. It was plain but clean. A sleeping mat lay near the wall. There was a wooden stool, a water jar, a small lamp, and a narrow window high enough to let in air. No chains, no filth, no dungeon stink. Maiko's voice lowered. "Prisoners are kept below, in the dark. This room is too decent for someone they mean to break quickly." Zuri gave a faint, bitter smile. "That should comfort me." "It should make you think." Zuri stared at the broth. Maiko softened her tone. "Eat so you do not look half dead when the time comes." "When what time comes? When you finally stand before him?" Zuri shook her head. "You are building dreams from smoke." "Maybe," Maiko replied. "But smoke still means there is fire somewhere." Zuri looked at her friend for a long moment, then took the bowl. Her hands trembled slightly as she drank. Maiko said nothing more. Outside the door, the guards remained silent. Inside the holding chamber, Zuri forced herself to swallow, not because she trusted hope, but because if fate meant to drag her before Zuberi again, she would not meet him broken on the floor. Zuri's hearing was finally scheduled 3 days later. When the guards opened the holding chamber, she stood slowly. Her body rested, but her mind unsettled. Maiko adjusted the edge of her shawl and squeezed her hand. "You can still withdraw the exit request," Maiko said quietly. "Ask for naturalization instead. Stay free in Ribborn." Zuri looked at her. "And if staying destroys me, then leave," Maiko replied. "But let the choice be yours, not fear's." Zuri said nothing. That was the problem. Every choice now felt like a blade. Zuberi, Manuel, freedom, Ribborn, walking away, staying. She stepped out of the chamber with her heart pounding. Ahead of her, the council hall waited. At the same time, Zuberi moved through the palace corridor with Ankura at his side. Ankura's mood was dark. "My Alpha, give me permission to remove Manuel from this matter," he growled. He is becoming reckless. Zuberi did not slow. No, he will interfere. Zuri likes him, Zuberi replied. Leave him. Ankura's jaw tightened, but he obeyed. They continued toward the hearing. When Zuri entered the council hall, the first person she saw was Manuel. He came to her at once, worry clear on his face. Zuri, he said, drawing her into his arms. Are you hurt? She shook her head numbly. I am fine. He looked over her as if he did not believe her. Did they touch you? I said I am fine. Then she felt it. A pull beneath her skin. Sharp. Familiar. Dangerous. Zuri slowly turned. Zuberi was there. Seated comfortably among the council, dressed in dark royal cloth, his expression unreadable. The Alpha King, who was rumored never to attend such hearings, had come in person. Zuri's breath caught. This was the closest they had been since that night. Her hidden mark warmed beneath the necklace. Seal stirred hard in her mind. The mate bond, quiet for so long, snapped awake between them like a cord pulled tight. Zuberi's gaze locked on hers. For one terrible second, the hall disappeared. Then Zuri forced herself to look away. No, she would not weaken here. Not before the council. Not before Manuel. Not before the man who had marked her, left her, and now sat between her and the freedom she had begged for. Still, the bad feeling in her stomach deepened. This hearing would not go the way she expected. Her fate now stood before her in 4 forms. Manuel, with open concern. Zuberi, with unreadable power, freedom, waiting beyond Ribborn's borders. And the choice to walk away from everything she had ever loved. Zuri lifted her chin and stepped toward the council. Whatever happened next would decide the rest of her life. Chapter 4, unsure of herself, Zuri turned toward Maiko. Maiko stood near the side of the hall, her hands clasped tightly before her. She said nothing, but her eyes pleaded clearly. Do not go, please, do not leave. Zuri looked away before the silent plea broke her. At the defense stand, the council clerk cleared his throat. Zuri of Ribborn, he said, confirm your choice before the council. Do you still request permanent exit from Ribborn Pack? Or do you withdraw that request and seek naturalization? The hall waited. Why were they asking her for a again? Her throat went dry. Zuri's fingers trembled. She clasped them together, biting her lower lip. Seconds ticked into minutes. Stray tears slipped down her face. The clerk's hand hovered over the stamp. Only her answer remained. Zuri could feel Manuel's hope behind her, Maiko's fear beside her, and Zuberi's presence across the hall like a force she could not escape. She refused to look at him. I choose. Her voice broke. She swallowed forced air into her lungs and tried again. I choose to live freely in this pack. The stamp came down. The sound echoed through the hall. For a breath, no one moved. Then Zuberi exhaled. It was not loud, but it was deep enough for the clerks nearest him to hear. Heads turned in his direction. The Alpha King's face remained controlled, but the relief in that single breath betrayed him. Zuri saw it. So did Ankura. Zuberi rose abruptly and left the hall without a word. Outside, Manuel waited while Zuri completed the final paperwork. The moment she stepped out, he rushed to her and pulled her into his arms. You stayed, he said, holding her tightly. You stayed, Zuri. She stood stiffly at first, then gently pulled back. I chose naturalization, she replied. That is all. Manuel smiled as though he had not heard the warning in her voice. Then we celebrate. Zuri gave him a tired look. Manuel. No arguments, he said lightly. Tonight you are free. The word struck her strangely. Free. Yet the mark beneath her necklace still burned. In his private bedchamber, Zuberi sat heavily on the edge of his bed. He did not remember walking there. All he knew was that Zuri had stayed. She had not left Ribborn. For the first time in months, the tightness in his chest loosened. He bowed his head, hands resting on his knees. A single tear escaped before he could stop it. He shut his eyes at once. Memory rose without mercy, this bed, this exact place. Zuri helping him sit up when he had been weak. Her hand near his shoulder, her scent close. The moment fate had drawn them too near and changed both their lives. She had suffered for a bond she never asked for, and yet she had not broken. Dante stirred softly inside him. She stayed. Zuberi opened his eyes. "Yes," he whispered. She stayed. A quiet knock came, then Ankura entered. He took one look at Zuberi and stopped. For once, he did not see the untouchable Alpha King. He saw the man beneath the crown. The man who had fought wars, buried traitors, rebuilt Ribborn, and still nearly lost the one person he wanted most. Ankura bowed his head, not as a soldier to a ruler, but as a brother offering respect. Zuberi motioned for him to rise. Ankura straightened, studied him for another moment, then suddenly smiled. "That serious face will kill the mood," he said. Zuberi gave him a dry look. "What mood?" Ankura disappeared before Zuberi could stop him. Moments later, he returned with 3 trusted warriors, a laughing servant, and a large clay jar of oguro. Zuberi frowned. "What is this?" "A private victory," Ankura replied, taking cups from the servant. "Small, quiet, before you ruin it with duty." The warriors bowed, their smiles barely hidden. Ankura poured the wine and lifted his cup. "To Alpha Zuberi," he declared. "The most stubborn wolf Ribborn has ever endured. My mentor, my tormentor, and unfortunately, my inspiration." One warrior chuckled. Zuberi shook his head. "You are all dismissed from this foolishness." "No," Ankura replied. "You are dismissed from brooding." Zuberi stood. "Drink without me. I have somewhere to be." Ankura's smile sharpened. "Zuri," Zuberi did not answer. That was answer enough. "I have a better idea," Ankura said. Zuberi paused at the door. "It had better be useful." "It is," Ankura replied. "Do not go to her like an alpha claiming victory. Go like a man asking permission to be heard." The room fell quiet. Zuberi looked at him. Ankura's voice lowered. "She chose to stay in Ribborn. She has not chosen you. Not yet." Dante went still inside him. Zuberi's jaw tightened, but he knew the beta was right. Ankura placed the cup down. "Let her breathe tonight," he said. "Tomorrow, request an audience properly. No guards, no command, no throne between you." Zuberi looked toward the window, where the night spread over Ribborn. Zuri was free now, not his servant, not his secret, not his prisoner. If he wanted her back, he would have to face her differently. At last, he nodded. "Tomorrow," he said. Ankura smiled. "Good, now sit down, my alpha. For once, let your warriors celebrate without looking like they have committed treason." Zuberi looked at the cups, the oguro, and the loyal faces watching him. Then slowly, he returned to his seat. For the first time in years, Ribborn's Alpha King allowed himself one quiet night of relief. Zuri had stayed. Tomorrow, the harder battle would begin. Ankura's better idea was not gentle. By the time Zuberi realized what was happening, Ankura, Oren, and 2 of his closest warriors had already dragged him out of the palace and into the night square. "I said 1 hour," Zuberi warned. Ankura grinned. "You said yes. That is what matters." The square was alive with music, firelight, laughter, and food smoke. Traders called from open stalls. Drummers played near the fountain. Pack members filled the space in bright wraps, leather tunics, beads, and festival cloth, celebrating nothing in particular except a rare, peaceful night. The moment people noticed Zuberi, the noise shifted, bows followed, whispers spread. The Alpha King had come into the square. Ankura quickly found a raised corner near a palm wine stall and signaled for seats. The young maid serving the area nearly dropped her tray when she saw who had arrived. Her eyes widened at Zuberi, then at Ankura, Oren, and the warriors. "Yes, my lord, my Alpha. I mean right away," she stammered. Oren hid a smile. Zuberi sat with visible reluctance. "I am here only because you have all become impossible." "Good," Ankura replied, taking a cup. "Relax." Zuberi gave him a flat look. He had agreed to humor them for a few minutes. After that, he would leave and find Zuri. Then Ankura swore under his breath. Zuberi's senses sharpened at once. He followed Ankura's gaze. Across the square, a few yards away, sat Zuri. Maiko was on one side of her. Manuel was on the other, too close. Dante's growl rolled through Zuberi's chest. For once, Zuberi told him silently, "I agree with you." Manuel leaned towards Zuri, speaking softly. Zuri was not smiling, but she did not move away either. Zuberi's hand tightened around his cup. Ankura tapped the table in irritation. "You hide too much from her." Zuberi said nothing. "She has no idea what you have done," Ankura continued. "No idea what you endured, what you changed, what you risked. Meanwhile, that man sits beside her like he saved her from you." Oren glanced between them and wisely stayed silent. Zuberi stood. Ankura looked up. "My Alpha, I am leaving." He walked away without looking back. Zuri sensed him before she fully saw him. Her mark warmed beneath her necklace. Seal stirred sharply in her mind. She turned just in time to see Zuberi moving through the crowd, dark and distant, with Ankura and the others behind him. He did not come to her. He did not speak. He simply left. Manuel saw her, watching him. His face hardened. Without warning, he stood and pushed through the crowd. "Manuel," Zuri called. He ignored her. Zuberi's path was slowed by pack members, bowing, greeting him, and trying to speak. Ankura moved ahead, clearing the way. Manuel stepped into their path. "If you truly loved her," Manuel said, his voice sharp, "you would stay away from her." Ankura moved first. His fist struck Manuel's face with a brutal crack. Manuel staggered back, blood pouring from his nose. Ankura bared his teeth. "You walk around unharmed only because my king respects Zuri. Without that, you would already be buried." The square fell silent around them. Zuberi gave Manuel one cold glance, nothing more. Then he walked on. Manuel stood frozen, not from the pain, but from the meaning of Ankura's words. Zuberi had spared him because of Zuri, because hurting him would hurt her. As the Alpha disappeared into the crowd, Manuel wiped blood from his mouth. Then his expression changed. Zuberi wanted her. That much was clear, but he was proud. Too proud to fight another man openly for a woman who had not chosen him. Too proud to beg. Too proud to explain. A slow, dangerous smile curved Manuel's lips. If Zuberi's pride kept him away, then Manuel still had a chance. And this time, he would not waste it. Chapter 5. Zuri stepped into her tiny apartment and shut the door behind her. The room was small by any decent standard. One narrow sitting space, one bedchamber, a low table, a clay water jar, 2 stools, a shelf of herbs, and a woven mat near the window. The walls were plain. The floor was worn smooth. The roof creaked whenever the wind pushed too hard. But it was hers. That alone had once felt like a miracle. She took one step toward the bedchamber and stopped. He was there. She felt him before she saw him. Zuberi's presence filled the small room the way a storm filled the sky. Heavy, silent, impossible to ignore. Every instinct told her to turn back, open the door, run into the night, and void whatever this was. But avoidance had ended. Their paths had crossed too many times for her to pretend. Fate was not laughing somewhere in the dark. She had been born in Ribborn. She had served noble households all her life before Paula dragged her into palace service, insisting it would give her a better standing among slaves. Zuri had believed her. A few months later, destiny placed her before the Alpha King. Now he stood in her apartment, close enough for the bond beneath her skin to wake. Zuberi watched her without speaking. Zuri kept her chin lifted. By rank, she should have lowered her eyes. She should have waited like a servant, but she was no longer only that. Not tonight. Still, she did not speak first. Zuberi had come straight from the square. He had waited nearly 2 hours in her room, though in truth, he had been waiting far longer than that. He saw how tense she was. He also felt the bond. That made speaking harder than it should have been. At last, he drew a slow breath and ran one hand through his hair. "I am sorry," Zuberi said quietly. "I hurt you. In more ways than one, I know that." Zuri's face turned away at once. She did not want him to see the tears rising. An apology from Zuberi was the last thing she had expected. But sorry for what? For the humiliation? The gossip? The bullying? The years she spent carrying a bond he never publicly claimed? A bitter sound left her throat. She shook her head. Zuberi stepped closer. Zuri stepped back. He stopped immediately and lifted one hand, palm open. "I will not touch you," he said. She swallowed hard. His voice lowered. "I do not deserve your forgiveness, but I am asking for it anyway. Zuri, I am truly sorry." For a moment, he did not look like the Alpha who ruled Ribborn, broke traitors, and bent councils to his will. He looked like a man who had finally run out of armor. Zuri moved to the far side of the room. "No apology can return what I lost," she replied. "I know." "No," she said, her voice sharper now. "You do not know, you can guess. You can regret. But you do not know." Zuberi accepted the words without defense. That unsettled her more than anger would have. The bond warmed beneath her necklace, and Zuri hated how quickly her heart answered him. She could not do this again, not hope, not break, not wait for a man whose world stood far above hers. She forced herself to meet his eyes. "Break the bond," Zuri said. Zuberi went still, her fingers tightened around the edge of the table. "You came here to apologize," she continued. "Then do this one thing for me. Break it. Let me live without feeling you in every part of my life." The room fell silent. Outside, the lesser quarter carried on with distant voices and night insects. Inside, Zuberi stared at the woman fate had given him, and Zuri waited for the answer that could either free her or destroy what little strength she had left. Zuri lowered her gaze and bowed, more out of habit than willingness. "My king," she said quietly. "Your Highness, I would like to break the mate bonbon so we can be free of each other." Zuberi's face tightened. Zuri did not wait for his answer. If she waited, courage might leave her. She placed one trembling hand over her heart. "I, Zuri of Ribborn, reject. Is this truly what you want, Zuri?" His voice cut through the room. Zuri froze. Zuberi took one careful step toward her, then stopped when her shoulders tensed. "You would rather break the bond than give us one chance?" he asked. Zuri looked up then, tears bright in her eyes but not falling. "One chance," she repeated softly. "My king, I have lived inside the consequences of this bond for years. No, Zuri replied. "You keep saying that, but you do not know what it cost me." Zuberi's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. She drew a shaky breath. "You had a throne, guards, councilmen, laws, and a name no one dared spit on. I had whispers, shame, fear. A mark I had to hide like a crime." His eyes dropped briefly to the necklace at her throat. Zuri noticed. Her fingers closed over it. "I do not want to be your secret anymore," she said. "And I do not want to belong to a man who can destroy my life by loving me badly." The words landed hard. Zuberi's voice lowered. "Then let me love you rightly." Zuri gave a small, broken laugh. "After everything, yes," she shook her head. "You say that now because Amina is gone from your side. She was never in your place. But she had the place everyone could see." Silence followed. Zuberi had no easy answer for that. Zuri stepped back again. "That is why I want the bond broken." Zuberi looked at her steadily. "And if I refuse?" Her face paled. His expression shifted at once. "I am not threatening you," he said. "I am asking. If I refuse to stand here and let you destroy something fate gave us, what will you do?" Zuri's lips parted, but no words came. Zuberi continued, quieter now. "I will not force you into my bed. I will not drag you into my palace. I will not command your forgiveness. But I will not pretend I want freedom from you." The room went still. Zuri's hand slowly lowered from her heart. Zuberi held her gaze. If you want to reject me because you hate me, say it. If you want to reject me because you feel nothing, say it. I will hear it. His voice roughened slightly. But if you are rejecting me because you are afraid, then do not call it freedom. Zuri looked away. Her courage had carried her to the edge. Now the edge looked deeper than she expected. He was not called Alpha King by title alone. Zuberi was no ordinary wolf. Everyone knew that. The rogues knew too. They had one chance. Catch him unaware, land a killing blow, and pray he never rose again. If they failed, there would be no second strike. On a normal day, Zuberi would not leave enough of them for burial. So they waited. They hid near the footpath that led towards Zuri's home, their scents masked with bitterleaf and damp soil. Amina's order had been clear. Kill the Alpha King. Leave his body close enough to Zuri's path. Let the pack believe the slave he had loved had lured him to his death. The first blade came from behind. Zuberi turned too late to avoid it completely. Pain tore across his side, sharp and hot. He staggered one step, then his wolf surged forward. The rogues rushed him, 4 of them. For one brief moment they believed the wound had weakened him. They were wrong. Zuberi moved like wrath given flesh. The first rogue lost his throat before he could swing again. The second slammed into a tree with enough force to break bone. The third tried to run, but Zuberi caught him by the neck and threw him hard against the stones. The last rogue was still choking when Ankura arrived. The Beta came in wolf form, racing through the trees with 2 warriors behind him. He had felt the danger through the bond of loyalty he shared with his Alpha, a violent pull that sent him tearing across the packland without waiting for orders. He shifted before he fully stopped. My Alpha! Zuberi stood over the last rogue, blood darkening his side, one hand locked around the dying wolf's throat. Speak, Zuberi ordered. The rogue's eyes rolled with terror. Amina, he rasped. She sent us. Ankura went still. Zuberi's grip tightened. The rogue coughed. She said, kill you near the slave girl's path. Make it look like Zuri brought you here. Then his body went slack. For a moment, no one moved. Ankura's teeth bared. Amina. Zuberi released the corpse and straightened, ignoring the blood at his side. Seal the path, he ordered. No one touches the bodies. No rumor leaves this place. Ankura turned to the warriors. Bring 6 trusted men, quietly. Palace guard only. One warrior bowed and ran. Zuberi's face was cold now. Too cold. She tried to kill her Alpha, Ankura said. Zuberi looked toward the dark road leading back to the palace. And frame my mate. Amina had not trusted the rogues completely. She never trusted anyone completely. So she followed from a distance, hidden beyond the lower trees, waiting to see whether they would finish the task. They failed. The moment she saw Zuberi still standing, wounded but alive, she ran. Before Ankura arrived, before the warrant could be issued, before the palace guards could be summoned, Amina shifted and fled toward the eastern border. Her wolf was strong and fast. Her paws struck the earth in smooth, powerful rhythm as she cut through the forest paths. She needed distance. If she reached the free lands beyond Ribborn, the pack would have to hunt her across neutral ground. Behind her, danger moved. Not from Ankura, not yet. From Zuri. The mate bond had warned her first. Pain, blood, threat. Zuri reached the bend near the lower path just in time to see Amina's wolf racing toward the city gate. She understood enough. Amina was fleeing. Zuberi was in danger. And whatever had happened, it was not finished. Zuri shifted. Seal burst forward. The forest answered her like an old friend. Amina was powerful, but Seal was swifter. She knew the roots, the dips, the loose stones, the hidden turns. She cut through narrow spaces Amina had to go around. She climbed the broken slope, like water running upward, closing the distance with frightening ease. Amina reached the eastern border. One more stretch, and she would be beyond Ribborn's claim. Seal struck first. She came from the side, silent until the last breath, then slammed into Amina with one clean, brutal blow. Amina lost balance and crashed across the border stones, rolling hard into the red earth. A moment later, Ankura and the pack warriors arrived. Behind them came Dante, slower because of Zuberi's wound, but still terrifying even injured. The great black wolf stopped, his eyes fixed on the silver-grey wolf. Seal stood over Amina, chest rising, silver-blue eyes bright with warning. Then she shifted. Fur drew back, bone reshaped. The mysterious wolf disappeared. Zuri stood in her place. The warriors froze. Ankura went still. Dante did not move at all. Zuri looked toward the great black wolf and curtsied, formal and distant. "My king," she said quietly. Then she turned to leave. Dante moved at once. Zuberi shifted before reaching her, his human hand stretching toward her arm. Zuri stepped aside before he could touch her. His hand stopped in the air. She did not look back. She walked toward Ribborn slowly, her body stiff, her mind already racing ahead of her steps. Amina had tried to kill Zuberi. Worse, she had tried to frame her. If the plan had worked, Zuri would have been the last person tied to him near her own path. A slave, a hidden mate, a woman with no clan, no father's house, no warriors sworn to defend her. The pack would not have waited for truth. They would have torn her apart. Her stomach tightened. Had she made a mistake staying? Ribborn was her birthplace, but it had never fully been her home. Her mother had been captured and enslaved during Zuberi's grandfather's reign. Zuri had grown up with no clan name to shield her, no family elders to speak for her, no lineage the council feared insulting. Only survival, only silence, only a mark she had hidden because the world that gave it meaning might still reject her for carrying it. Behind her, Zuberi watched without moving. He had found the wolf. He had found the truth. But Zuri kept walking, one question heavy in her chest. Even if Zuberi wanted her, would Ribborn ever accept her? Would the pack truly accept her beside Zuberi? The thought followed Zuri with every step. Zuberi was not just their alpha. He was their pride, their golden wolf. The ruler who had expanded Ribborn, fed its markets, strengthened its borders, and made even the proudest nobles bow with respect. And she was Zuri, a former slave, naturalized or not, reformed laws or not. Some eyes would always remember where she came from. Some mouths would still whisper that the Alpha King had lowered himself. Some noble houses would call her unworthy behind closed doors, even if they bowed before her in public. Slave reforms could change records. Naturalization could change legal standing. But could it change hearts? Could it erase generations of contempt? Zuri's fingers closed around the necklace at her throat. The mark beneath it pulsed faintly, as if answering a question she was afraid to ask. Behind her, warriors still stood frozen near the border stones. Amina lay on the ground, guarded now, her power finally broken. Ankura's voice carried low orders through the trees, sharp and controlled. But Zuberi said nothing. That silence cut deeper than any command. Zuri did not know whether he was shocked, angry, relieved, or hurt. She did not know whether he looked at her as his mate, his mystery wolf, or another problem Ribborn would force him to solve. So she kept walking, one step, then another. She had stayed in Ribborn because she thought freedom inside familiar land might be enough. Now she was not sure, because loving Zuberi was not only about him, it was about the pack, the council, the nobles, the old families, the servants who would stare, the slaves who would hope, the enemies who would wait for one mistake. Zuri swallowed hard and lifted her chin. If Zuberi wanted her, he would have to do more than reach for her in the forest. He would have to stand before Ribborn and choose her, where every eye could see. And until then, Zuri would not run into his arms like a woman saved. She had survived too much to become anyone's hidden victory. Zuberi pressed his wrist gently against Zuri's mouth. "Bite," he ordered softly. Zuri did. Her teeth sank hard into his skin as another wave of pain tore through her. Zuberi barely flinched. His eyes stayed on her face, not his bleeding wrist, not the healers moving around them, not the anxious silence pressing against the room. Only Zuri. Again, the chief healer urged, "Push now." Zuri cried out against Zuberi's wrist and pushed. The labor had lasted too long. Long enough for Zuberi's control to crack. Long enough for the Alpha King of Ribborn to bow his head beside his wife and whisper to the unborn pup like a desperate man. "Come out peacefully," he had murmured. "Do not tear her apart, please." When the pup finally entered the world, small, loud, and furious, Zuberi did not move until he heard Zuri breathe properly. Only then did his shoulders loosen. He looked at the tiny girl in the healer's arms, then back at Zuri, pale and exhausted on the bed. "No more," he whispered. "I have put you through enough pain in this life. Never again." Zuri was too tired to argue. Almost 2 years later, she remembered those words with a secret smile. Their daughter slept nearby, curled beneath a soft-woven cloth, one tiny fist tucked against her cheek. Zuberi had checked on her 3 times before leaving the chamber that morning. The palace guards, nurse, healers, and his own alpha senses were not enough to assure him she was safe. Zuri stood by the window and touched her still flat stomach. Another pup so soon. She wondered how she would tell him. Gently, playfully, or directly, before he started growling at the healers for allowing it. Her smile softened. There had been a time when she never imagined this life could be hers. After Amina's arrest, Zuberi had pursued her openly. He came to her small apartment in the lesser quarter without shame, walked the narrow paths without disguise, and ignored every stare that followed him. The gossip returned at once. Some said Zuri had bewitched him. Some said she wanted more than she deserved. Some called her ambitious, shameless, low-born. Others asked what she had to offer an Alpha King. No dowry, no noble clan, no great enterprise, no political alliance. Noble families became bolder. They pushed their daughters, sisters, and cousins towards Zuberi, at feasts, hearings, ceremonies, and moon rites. Beautiful she-wolves, with old names, rich houses, and polished manners, suddenly found reasons to pass near the Alpha's table. The council noticed. Then they began to press. Ribborn needed a noble Luna, they said. A strong alliance. A woman with rank, training, and bloodline. Manuel eventually stepped back. Not easily, but finally. He accepted that Zuri's heart had never been his to win. The council was less graceful. One afternoon, elders, clan chiefs, politicians, and senior warriors summoned Zuberi to the Great Hall. They asked him to stop demeaning himself, to stop embarrassing the throne, to stop pursuing a woman of low birth and no standing. Zuberi listened in silence. Then he rose, and Ribborn learned that the Alpha King had not spent years rebuilding the pack, just to let them choose the woman who would stand beside him. Zuberi did not answer the council at once. Instead, he turned to Ankura. "Bring Zuri." The hall stiffened. A few elders exchanged troubled looks. The nobles whispered among themselves. But no one dared object openly. When Zuri entered, the room went silent. She walked in slowly, dressed simply, her hands clasped before her. She had expected another accusation, another judgment, another reminder that Ribborn still did not know what to do with her. Then Zuberi stepped down from the Alpha's seat. Zuri froze. Before the elders, nobles, clan chiefs, politicians, and warriors of Ribborn. The Alpha King lowered himself to one knee. A gasp moved through the hall. Zuri's eyes widened. "My king." Zuberi looked up at her, his voice steady. "Zuri, I have failed you before this pack too many times. I will not fail you again. Give me one chance to love you openly. Give me one chance to protect you, not as a secret, not as a servant, but as my equal, my mate, and my wife." Zuri's lips trembled. Around them, The hall remained stunned. No Alpha of Ribborn had ever knelt before a woman in council, not before elders, not before nobles, not before the pack. Zuberi held out his hand. If you will have me, I will spend the rest of my life proving that I am worthy of the bond fate gave us. Tears filled Zuri's eyes. For years, she had imagined him denying her, hiding her, choosing duty over her. She had never imagined this. She placed her hand in his. Yes, Zuri whispered. Zuberi's breath left him in a quiet rush. Zuri nodded through her tears. Yes, Zuberi, I will marry you. The hall erupted. Some voices rose in shock, some in anger, some in disbelief. A nobleman stood. My Alpha, this cannot stand. She brings no value to the throne. Another added, no dowry, no noble house, no political alliance. What does she offer, Ribborn? Ankura stepped forward at once, his expression dark. Careful, he warned. Many of you speak as though your houses have never benefited from the woman you now insult. The hall quieted. Ankura turned toward the nobles. When fever struck your children, who prepared the herbs the healers used? When your wives labored through difficult births, who assisted the chief healer's women? When the Alpha was weakened by the curse, whose medical skill helped keep him alive? No one answered. Ankura's voice hardened. And when Amina tried to flee justice, who stopped her before she crossed the border? Zuri's seal, the same woman you now call worthless. The argument died there. Another elder tried a different path. My Alpha, no one denies her service. But she is your weakness. Enemies may use her against you. You were once unreachable, cold, untouchable. Now you are softened by her. Zuberi rose, keeping Zuri's hand in his. I was Alpha before Zuri entered my life, he said. But every victory you now enjoy, every road, treaty, reform and prosperity came after fated, bound me to her. She did not weaken me. She gave me something worth building for. Zuri looked at him, stunned by the certainty in his voice. Zuberi drew her closer to his side. Ribborn prospered under an Alpha who carried her in his soul. Remember that before you call her a danger to this pack. No one spoke. There was nothing left to say. Zuberi faced the council. My wedding will be prepared without delay. Anyone offended by my choice is free to leave Ribborn forever. The finality in his voice ended the matter. The nobles sat in bitter silence. The elders lowered their eyes. The council accepted defeat with stiff faces and clenched jaws. Zuberi looked down at Zuri. Come, he said softly. Before she could answer, he lifted her into his arms. A fresh wave of shocked murmurs spread through the hall, but Zuberi did not care. Zuri held on to him, tears still on her cheeks, her heart pounding against his chest. This time he did not hide her. This time he carried her through the hall, in front of everyone, and every wolf in Ribborn watched their Alpha King leave with the woman he had chosen. Years later, after the twins came into the world, Zuri often found herself thinking about the life she had once believed impossible. Their son had Zuberi's stubborn eyes, their younger daughter had Sail's quiet fire, and their first daughter, now older and full of questions, had already begun walking through the palace as though every corridor belonged to her. She had become Luna, not by manipulation, not by noble arrangement, not by council convenience, by choice, by bond, by the Alpha King, kneeling before the pack and asking for her hand. But the Luna seat was not just silk robes, moon ceremonies and servants bowing when she passed. It came with weight, decisions, judgment, lives placed before her like open wounds. Zuberi was always beside her, not in front of her, beside her. He guided when she asked. He stayed silent when she needed to stand on her own, and each time the council looked at her, waiting to see if the former slave would tremble beneath authority. Zuri learned to lift her chin and speak. One of her first great burdens had been Amina. The council found her guilty. Treason, conspiracy, attempted murder of the Alpha King, dealing with rogues, framing an innocent woman, abuse of lunar authority. By pack law, Amina was to be executed, her name erased from honor, her body denied burial. The Howling Council had already arrived to perform the cleansing rites. The hall had expected Zuberi to confirm the sentence. Instead, he turned to Zuri. The hall went silent. Zuri stood dressed as Luna while Amina knelt in chains before the same council, the same elders, and the same Howling Council that had once judged her. For a moment, the past returned too clearly. She remembered kneeling on that floor as a palace slave, accused of fleeing Ribborn, a crime punishable by death. She remembered the eyes of the pack on her. She remembered the elders waiting to decide whether she would live or die. She remembered Amina standing there, pressing for her execution with no mercy in her voice. Back then, Zuri had been powerless, the accused, the trapped girl, the slave waiting for death. Now the woman who had pushed for her execution knelt before her. Fate had shifted the tables. Zuberi's voice was calm. Her crimes touched you most deeply. The final verdict is yours. Amina slowly lifted her face. For the first time, Zuri saw no pride, no crown, no perfect lunar mask, only fear. The table turned so completely that even the hall seemed afraid to breathe. Justice demanded blood. Mercy asked a harder question. And there Zuri stood, no longer the slave kneeling for mercy, but the Luna holding Amina's fate in her hands, her life trembling in Zuri's hands, the girl they once condemned. One word away from becoming merciful, vengeful, or something far more dangerous. Now tell me, if Amina's fate was in your hands, what would you choose? Execution, mercy, exile, or a punishment so painful it would make her wish Zuri had chosen the blade? I want to hear your judgment in the comments.
If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Leave a comment below and tell me your thoughts. What shocked you the most? What would you have done if you were Zuri? Share this story with your friends so they can join the debate, because Keone's world is only getting deeper, darker, and more emotional. New Alpha romance stories will be coming every week, filled with fated mates, hidden wolves, forbidden love, betrayal, revenge, and powerful pack secrets. So stay with us, come back for more, and thank you for supporting the story.